Hi, all of you folks that think that you might be ones on the Enneagram. I'm really glad to have a chance to share with you about the one. It's a lovely type because they want to change the world, and we love them in our service classes. They want to make a difference. So they're type 1, the reformer. Sometimes they're called the perfectionist, but I feel like that's not the most positive term. So I really like the word reformer. They're also body type, which means they are very instinctive. They just kind of know what the right thing to do is. But like all the other body types, they tend to have issues with anger. But oftentimes they repress that anger so they don't even know that they're angry. But sometimes other people know they're angry. Okay, ones have a very strong moral compass. You don't need to ask a one, what do you think is the right thing to do? They know what's the right thing to do. And they're tougher on morals and ethics on themselves than they are on anybody else usually. They just instinctively know what the right thing to do is. So the words that oftentimes come to mind for me is purposeful and principled. Purposeful and principled, they can be almost monk-like in their dedication to whatever task they're taking on. They're serious, they're disciplined. Body instincts. They're activists, instinctively know what the right thing to do is. Now, interesting, there are going to be plenty of ones that are really good students, but they don't come to their decisions about what the right thing to do is by a careful study like the 5s do. In fact, what they do the opposite. They decide what to do, and then later they go back and look for the evidence to collect it to agree with what they've already decided. So sometimes they can be very stubborn in that sense because they already decided apart from the evidence, but then they marshal the evidence to support what they already decided. Okay, so this is the shadow side of the one. Okay? Now, they are really invested in transforming themselves, transforming the world. They see that there's problems everywhere, and they want to make a difference. And they can see how to do it in a way that is more clear to them than to any of the other types, how to change for the positive. And it just kind of eats away with them to see imperfection in themselves and in the world at large. The shadow side is they can be quite rigid. They can be kind of self-righteous. Judgmental, tough on themselves, and tough on other people. So here are some ones at HKS that you might know of. Jonathan Chung, you probably don't know him, but he's the guy that started Humanities 2 in Action. I mean, he dedicated like 18 months to make this happen. Again, that's the type of kid that's going to I want to make a difference. Somebody made a difference in my life with Humanities 1 in Action. I'm going to put in place as Humanities 2 in Action. He's the one that did it. Okay? So Augie, grade 12, principled and purposeful and monk-like. These are very typical of ones. Okay, so now I want to just say they're very service-minded. Many of them want to be doctors or nurses or something really important. And again, we love these types because they're self-sacrificial. They want to make a difference. But I will tell you one thing that I've noticed that's really, I had no idea until I started working with us a few years ago. I've had a series of, all girls at this point that have eating disorders. Like 75-80% of the girls that I've worked with are 1-wing 2s. Okay? And actually, you think about it, it makes sense. They are principled and purposeful. They know what's right and what's wrong. And their 2s are kind of people pleasers, and so you put that combination together, and oftentimes they know what's right and wrong to eat, and they know that people are noticing, and so they develop eating disorders. So we have to watch that. All right, so here is my example for a one. This is Wei Lin, and this really became obvious to her with her college process. She said, the main thing I wanted to focus on is letting go of my need for control, especially during college decisions. I felt a need to control every aspect of my life. So what we ended up doing for her is, because she was a Christian, we had her memorize some Bible passages that helped her to let go. And she just repeated these over and over. Whenever she'd feel that impulse to control, which was pretty much all the time, she would just remember these verses. And I would just say that for all the Christian kids, or we don't have to be Christians, but any kids that are part of a religious tradition, I'd really encourage you to memorize passages that can kind of play in your subconscious and your conscious mind to help direct you towards relaxing your type. And this is really helpful for Wei Lin. So let's go to some practices for ones. So now this is my most creative one for ones. Buy a coloring book and then practice coloring outside the lines. It's really hard. I tried this for a student who's a junior just a couple months ago, and she said it was painful to actually color outside the lines. It's so instinctive for ones to follow the rules, okay? But what ones have to do is break the rules sometimes, to be aware when they're being obedient, and sometimes they need to break the rules because they're too rigid. Okay? Loving kindness meditation to open the heart is very effective for almost every type, but I would say ones, especially one-winged twos, because this ties into the heart triad for twos. Okay, here's a good idea. Keep a journal in which you dialogue with your inner critic, with the thing that's being critical of you. Okay, so that you can kind of challenge that inner critic. Write down your daily imperfections and rip them up, and it's kind of coloring outside the lines ideas. Gratitude journal, or just anything to get them out into the body, because they're oftentimes, again, not very connected to their bodies. All right, well, good luck all you ones. I hope this helps, and look forward to seeing what kind of spiritual practice you develop to help you work through your shadow side of your one. Okay? All right, take care. Bye-bye.